Hi there, my name's Tariana Rocha. I'm a coach and specialist on healing from childhood narcissistic wounds. And in today's video, I want to talk about a really important subject, which is what to do and also what to expect if you've just discovered that your mother suffers from narcissistic personality disorder. Now, this is generally a very lonely experience because we grow up believing that our moms are the only moms in the whole wide world who act the way they do. And we don't understand their behavior. We don't understand why they treat us the way that they do. And so when we discover what narcissistic personality disorder is, it opens up a whole universe for us because you can finally actually deal with the issue to begin with. There's a number of reasons why this issue is invisible to society. It's a taboo subject. You're not allowed to badmouth your mom. And if you come from Latin cultures like I do, I'm Brazilian, then it's really taboo to say anything against your family or particularly against your mom. So you grow up with this idea that if you even question your mom, there's something wrong with you. And due to gaslighting and constant invalidation of the way that you view the world and your preferences, you learn that you are wrong. So here's a few things that you can expect, okay? And a few things that you should do if you've just discovered that your mom is a narcissist. So number one, let me drink a little water here. The first thing you need to do is get out of isolation. So you need to contact other women that have been through the same process, other daughters of narcissistic mothers, maybe sons of narcissistic fathers and mothers, whatever. You need to understand that you're not alone and that this is way more common than we would like to think. So what you need to do is you need to get in touch with other people who are going through the same thing. Do that through Facebook groups, through forums, if you can find some sort of support group. If you want a group like that, then in the description, in the description of this video, there's a link to a Facebook group where you can talk about this subject in a safe environment with other people who aren't going to judge you and they're going to understand what you're going through. So it's really essential that you get out of isolation and you find other women. This alone is going to start healing a lot of things inside of you. And it's because you'll understand that you were never alone and that this is way more common than we believe. And also that lots of other daughters of narcissistic mothers and sons of narcissists were able to find tools to reprogram themselves and to create a new life. So you can do it too. Another reason why we need to find this support group is that we often don't think that we can give ourselves permission to make the bold decisions that being the daughter of a narcissistic mother forces you to make. Decisions about maybe lessening the frequency that you have contact with your mom or even cutting ties altogether. So these decisions seem impossible. And by yourself, you might feel that you can't really pull them off. But in a group setting, that thing that is impossible becomes possible. So you can kind of borrow energy from other women and men and be able to make those bold decisions for yourself. And the other reason why you need to find this support group is that maybe you're not ready to admit to yourself what all of this actually means. Maybe you're kind of in a state of shock and you need to figure things out. Maybe you're not ready to share your story, but you kind of want to figure out and observe what other people are going through. So even if you don't post in the group and you don't ask for help, just observing other people's stories, reading them and understanding how very similar everybody's stories are is really empowering. Okay, so find help, find support. You cannot do this by yourself. Even if it's free support, it doesn't matter. Find other people like you. The second thing that you want to expect is cognitive dissonance. So what is cognitive dissonance? And this is a really big one right here. Cognitive dissonance is kind of like a state of shock that happens when your worldview falls apart. And this happens because you have this idea in your head that you've been, using all this energy to maintain. But actually, reality starts showing you proof that that idea is not real. And so you're forced to incorporate these new elements, these new truths into your worldview, and it's incompatible, so it falls apart. And you enter this state of shock and confusion, and it's like you're hearing lots of voices in your head at the same time, and you can't make decisions, and everything is overwhelming and too much. So what's happening here is, as a daughter of a narcissistic mom, you spent your entire life being gaslighted into believing that you were wrong, that your perception of things were exaggerated, that it wasn't really that bad. And for emotional survival, you try to convince yourself that your mom did, connect to you in a loving way, that it wasn't that bad, that maybe you're overreacting. And all of this illusion, because it's an illusion, it doesn't describe reality in the correct way. Well, it takes energy to maintain an illusion, right? And when you can't maintain that illusion anymore because you've reached a certain point in your personal development where your unconscious mind is like, yo, all these truths that you've been hiding away from because you didn't feel strong enough to admit them to yourself? Yeah, let's deal with those right now. So this is what's going to happen, cognitive dissonance. And it's going to feel like you have like voices in your head that represent your mother's voice. Some women actually hear their mom's voice in their head. So you can hear your mom saying things like, oh, you're a horrible daughter, you're an ungrateful daughter, you shouldn't do this, why can't you just obey, you've always been, a problem, you've always been kind of crazy, I always thought you needed help. So all of these voices are going to come up for you and you're going to feel super guilty. You're going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm even questioning that my mom loves me. But at the same time, your true self, that part of you that wants to heal, that part of you that's connected to forces that we don't understand, forces that are bigger than us, that part of you that is always preserved no matter how fragmented you feel, your true self is doing its job, and its job is to protect you and to make sure that you can live a full life. And then you hear these old toxic voices, but you hear this new voice telling you, yo, I know this is scary, but you need to do this. I know you don't want to, but this is the path that you need to take. I know that you're scared. I know that you feel weak. I know that it seems impossible, but I promise you, go in this direction. But you're not strengthened enough. You're not strong enough to pay attention to your true self and act on it. So cognitive dissonance is an opportunity for you to start training that strength. Because the truth is, from the moment that you understand that your mother is a narcissist, you're going to enter into this battle between the toxic voices in your head and your true self that's going to want to manifest itself more and more and more. And basically, it's a really simple process. Every time you listen to the same toxic voices and act according to what they tell you, you're just strengthening the wounds and your mindset and your worldview and the way that you view yourself. And that's what you've been doing your whole life, and it hasn't really gotten you great results. But every time you're in the middle of that battle and you hear those voices and you decide to listen to and pay attention to your true self that's trying to protect you, that's telling you, create some distance with that person or move away or go do this thing or that thing or find help. Whenever you have the courage to do what your true self tells you, you strengthen your true self. So what you can expect from this period that involves cognitive dissonance is this battle. And you know exactly what to do. Differentiate between the old voices and the new voice, it's actually an old voice. It's your voice. It's your true self's voice. And start developing the courage to act according to your true self. Okay, another thing that's really, really, really important if you've just discovered that your mom has narcissistic personality disorder is to educate yourself. Read up on narcissists. Find out how mothers act if they're narcissists, how this affects the healthy development of the child. Read about psychology. Read about the formation of the personality. And as you understand what you went through, you can look at your pain and you can look at your childhood with other eyes. And this understanding makes everything a lot more manageable. So educate yourself. Every time you feel lost, educate yourself. Find out what it is that you don't know. Google it. Go into the Facebook group. Ask people. Never abandon yourself in a state of not knowing and in a state of confusion. Be your source of light, of information, of evolution. Okay? And the last thing that is really important, and I'd say that this last thing, it's something that basically you're going to have to keep in mind for the rest of your life. We often don't know how to heal from our wounds, and we often have the idea that talking about them is a way of healing. And when you've never been in a safe environment to talk about very taboo wounds, it's very important to talk about them in the beginning. You have to understand them, you have to describe them, you have to give yourself the opportunity to say for the first time, oh my God, I never really felt love from my mom. Oh my God, I actually hate my mom and I want to harm her. You know, so to talk about these really taboo, complex things it's really important. But there's a moment where you've already understood the origin of the wound and you've understood what perpetuates it. And after that moment, if you keep on telling yourself the same story about how you're broken, how you're fragmented, you're just going to reinforce that self-image. So when you've discovered that you are the daughter of a narcissistic mother, what you've really discovered is that you have a long road ahead of you of reprogramming the crap that you say to yourself moment by moment throughout the day. And this is your responsibility. So even if you find help, if you find a therapist or a coach or something, beware of the tendency that many of us have to create a codependent relationship with these professionals, because since we're not used to managing our own emotions and we don't feel strong enough to do it, we like outsource this. And that's not the point. You don't want to be like this broken identity for the rest of your life. You don't want to be the daughter of a narcissistic mother. You want to be Manuela or Sheila or, I don't know, Janet or, Brittany. You want to be you. So in order to be you, you gotta stop telling yourself all the time that you're broken in the same old ways. When you catch yourself telling yourself the same thing, then always tell yourself as well, wait a second. I'm learning how to reprogram the stuff I tell myself, and I'm learning how to take full ownership of managing my emotions and my inner states. So even though I have a coach or a therapist or whatever, or if I'm by myself, moment by moment throughout my day, when I notice something wrong going on in my head, I'm going to stop and I'm going to pause and reprogram and learn how to do this. And this is no one else's job. Okay. I hope this video was useful for you. Let me know if you want any more information. If you thought that it was relevant, then do share. Because, this thing about narcissism, it goes on from generation to generation. It gets passed down. So as we become more aware of what we went through, and as we seek our own healing, then we become like this legion of light workers that are ready to extend a helping hand to the next person. So, we strengthen ourselves and then we strengthen the next person. And collectively, we can stop this cycle of abuse, because this is really bigger than me. And this is bigger than you. This is at a planetary level. I really believe this. And it's important that we empower ourselves, because the first thing you want to do when you feel strong enough is help the next person. Okay, that's it for now. If you want to know more about my work, then you can get in touch. There's my email somewhere down there or in the link of this video, the description of this video as well. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.